So we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to the Unveiling Addiction YouTube channel. On this channel, if you are new here, we talk about, we are honing in on Suboxone and how to break free from Suboxone. And I think it's really important to bring as many stories and as many testimonies as I possibly can, because what may work for one person may not work for the next person. And today I have a gentleman on that actually went down the NAD and ketamine route. He found me about a year ago. And I remember going back and forth with him and reading some of his comments. And to be completely honest, I kind of turned my back on it because it is a pricey, it is pricey to get these treatments, NAD and ketamine, but he's going to go into that a little bit. And I realized, I'm like, you know what? I don't need to turn my back on any of it. I need to bring as many testimonies and as many stories as I can to the table, because what may work for him, and maybe somebody can afford this, it all matters. All of it matters. So I'm going to bring, thank you so much, everybody in the chat. I see that Jane is here, always supporting me, Jane. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. Missing time 420. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. I love the support. Thank you so much. Hoping that this story and this journey will help just another person. Okay. So I'm going to bring on Micheal. This is Micheal. There you go. So this is Micheal Cater. I was calling you Carter for a really long time. And Micheal, can we get into a little bit? How did you first find my content? That's where I usually kind of like to start. Where did you find my content? Because I believe you had mentioned that you found my content while you were going through what you went through to get off of Suboxone. Is that not correct?
I think it was in the same time frame. TikTok. It was either TikTok or Facebook. Okay. One of the two, Reels or probably TikTok. And then that turned to Facebook whenever I think it was TikTok and you were promoting your channel.
Okay. The Unveiling Addiction Facebook page. Yeah. This is when I was trying to get as many people as I possibly can, because TikTok can sometimes be a little bit overwhelming with the messages. But now we have the risewithchastity.com website. All my information is there. And we also have my Unveiling Addiction Facebook page where, we bring a lot of people there that are really helping each other out. And if you look in the comments section, it's very helpful for everyone. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm glad that this was divinely guided. So this was actually pretty perfect, because I don't even think I realized that you came across my content while in the process of going through these ketamine treatments. Is that correct?
I guess it would have had to been, I think it was in the same time frame. Had to have been, because as far as the dates align with our conversation that we had yesterday. So
I did. Yeah, we talked a little bit about it. Yeah, we did talk a little bit about it. Yes. Yeah. So usually, I will talk to the people that I interview, and I don't want to get too far into detail because I wanted to kind of run organically and let everything that needs to come up. So, but we did talk for a little bit and we got into some details. So thank you for being here, Micheal. I really appreciate you. It's not easy for everybody. Yeah, it's not easy for people to come on and tell their story. It sometimes will make people feel uncomfortable. So the more people that I can get to do this, I feel like the easier it'll be to help others break free. Okay.
For sure.
So let's get into your story. Let's start. Where did this start with you? So, for me, I was on pain pills. I was taking a significant amount of pain pills every single day. And that's where Suboxone started for me. Where did it start for you?
With the pain, I was 18 before I ever used any drugs, and I seemed to use them all at the same time. The first time I was ever prescribed an opiate was from my pediatrician. I was 18, went to my pediatrician because I had sore throat. I had strep throat, and they gave me Tylenol 3.
Wow.
And Tylenol 3 made me feel really good. I was 18 years old. Of course, I didn't tell my mom, I do remember making a, kind of a funny comment in the car one day. And anyhow, my grandfather passed away a year later, and I discovered, so my first aunt was a nurse, and I discovered the medicine cabinet that was loaded full of pain pills.
Okay.
And I mean, it started from there. Pain pills made me feel like Superman. I know that's description has been given by other people. I did not out. I mean, you know, I didn't take excessive amounts, you know, in the beginning, but the amounts that I took made me feel like Superman.
Yeah, it's easy to build a tolerance though after over time.
Oh, for
I
sure.
got up to like 20 pills a day.
For sure.
Go ahead.
And so, you know, I had also had a friend that worked at a pharmacy, and, you know, this was in the late 80s, early 90s. And so, you know, it was easy to steal pills. He was stealing Percocets. They were maroon capsules. And I mean, he was stealing, you know, lots. And I was buying most of them. And friends later on, they were pain patients at clinics. They, you know, and how I met them was through, you know, weed sales and buying weed. You make connections through that. And then I made a connection with a guy that was going to a pain clinic. And back in the early 90s, that was, I mean, they were writing bukus. And so I became addicted to opiates, but I always managed to beat it with another substance. At that time, it was crack cocaine. I would bounce between the two. And
that is so interesting that you just said that, because I actually went down the route of meth to try to break free from opiates. And then that led me down the route of, and the road of crack, actually, when there was no meth left. So that's so interesting. And, you know, for the longest time, I never wanted to admit that, because how disgusting, but this is truth here. This is real. This is raw. This is real shit. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. Okay. Continue.
Yeah. And Xanax. No, I really didn't. Xanax wasn't my thing. I didn't like it, but it got me through a lot of stuff, you know, got me to sleep with a lot of stuff. And it got me through opiate withdrawals a couple of times, but you know, at that time, it was simple Percocets and Lortab. So, you know, I couldn't take a whole lot of acetaminophen without it, you know, messing up my stomach. And that was the only way to take it. So 98, 97, Oxycontin's come around, and I've still got my connections who are pain patients, legitimate. And I mean, it was on from there. I mean, it was a downward spiral for.
So most of the pain medication that you got was pretty much from the streets. I mean, you
had
the
streets or somebody's medicine cabinet. I mean, there for 10 years, if I went in your house, I went in your medicine cabinet. I mean, absolutely 100% went to your medicine cabinet. And sometimes I'd go back for more, you know?
Yeah.
That's just the way I operated, you know, then. And I think we all kind of did that. But I was on 380 milligrams to 400 milligrams of Oxycontin a day in 2001. And my mom saw it. I was living at home with my mother. She saw a real downward spiral, because not only was I doing that, but I was doing MDMA. I was getting loaded every weekend on MDMA or some sort of psychedelic, which was so stupid, you know, because I have compassion for psychedelics. So it was just stupid that I did this stuff. But I mean, that's what I did. And I got 86 from 2 casinos. It's 2 casinos I can't ever go back to on the coast because of my bizarre activities. So anyhow, my mom researched, and there were 5 places in the United States that was doing the buprenorphine.
Okay.
Up in California on the East Coast, there was 2 people out in California, and there was a couple places in Florida. And
what year was this?
2001. I flew down on my birthday, February of 2001.
Okay.
Mom took my last 40 milligram Oxycontin before I got on the plane and headed down there. 36 hours. I went through kind of withdrawals or whatnot. I mean, I was starting to go through them, but after 36 hours of me getting in Hollywood, Florida, I started the buprenorphine. And the way we did it then was it was an ampule in my arm. I mean, it was a shot. I gave myself a shot 3 times a day in the arm. IM. Popped a little ampule and drew up the one. It was, I guess, 1 milliliter, which would have been equivalent to 2 It was equivalent to, the bottle was equivalent to 1 8 milligram Suboxone.
I see. That's so interesting. I have never, this is the first time, I mean, aside from us chatting earlier, but it's like when I started taking Suboxone, it was a sublingual tab. That's what it was. So you started taking Suboxone, probably one of the first people that was prescribed this drug. And it's interesting because I did come in contact with a lady that was like, I was one of the first people that was prescribed this drug. And but go ahead. Let's
they didn't have naloxone at the time. And so the DEA, they hated this because there was a lot of us were out there, you know, they hated it. They hated it because we didn't hide it. I didn't hide it. I got wrote up one time. I got a incident report written on me because the security, I was a general manager of a shoe store at the time, and my security guard walked in and I didn't jump. I had no reason to jump. And he asked questions and I didn't lie. I'm transparent. I don't lie. And so I told him, well, I was on Oxycontins. This medication right here is helping me get through it. There's no high associated with it. I can promise you, blah, blah, blah. So anyhow, I got an incident reported, and my head people, you know, called me in, and nothing happened of it, but, you know, they had no clue. I mean, this was like 2004 maybe. So they had no clue, you know, what this medication was. Nobody did. There's a lot of people that had no clue what this medication was.
Right.
So anyhow, I think there were some problems with the DEA, and, you know, what they did is I don't know, somehow the naloxone came into play. And that's when Suboxone came out with the naloxone, which really should have been in there anyhow for the purposes of what they were doing it for. You know, you can drink on it, but it's not going to be very good. You can drink on Subutex. I've heard you can sort of get high on opiates if you're on strictly buprenorphine. Subutex. Right. Yeah. But you can't, obviously, with the naloxone. So obviously they wanted the naloxone in it. But
so hold on. So that's the first time I've heard that. You can't, what do you mean you can't drink with the naloxone? Like, are you saying you can't get drunk? Like if you try to drink while taking Suboxone, which is buprenorphine with naloxone,
well,
you have a hard time getting drunk? Is that what you're saying?
You can. It's just, it's not a very good feeling.
Okay.
And I think it's sort of like that stuff that they give you with, it may be a different medication, but yeah. It does work to where it's not the best feeling in the world. But with Subutex, with buprenorphine, I got drunk all the time.
Yeah, because I've taken Subutex too, and it doesn't have the naloxone in it, and you can still continue to take like pain medication with the Subutex and it not affect you.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I mean, I tried it. I took a 40 milligram Oxycontin early on, did nothing. I was pissed. I was like, and I tried it again. I was like, you know what? So I never even tried it after that. But
okay.
I mean, and it did its thing, you know, for 22 years I was on it. But I mean, I had many rodeos. 2011, probably 10 years after I was on it, I tried to get off it. I went into a patient rehab, and that lasted, I think, maybe 3 days, 4 days.
You specifically went into this inpatient rehab.
Inpatient rehab to get off of buprenorphine.
Okay.
And they told me, we'll get you off of this. You are going to be fine.
Right.
And 3 days after I was there, I mean, I was going through it, like going through it. But I also have to tell a story. I snuck 2 Subutex in my butt into the rehab. So for the first day and a half, 2 days, I still had Subutex. So it was about day 4, really, day 4, day 5. And they were puzzled because, hey, you're on day 4 and day 5, and you're just now going through withdrawals. This doesn't make sense. But I mean, I was going through it, and they were trying to give me Seroquel or something. I have no idea what it was, but it wasn't working, you know?
Yeah.
It's not working.
I wouldn't doubt if it was Seroquel, because Seroquel is a very sedative drug. Right. And that's what I wouldn't doubt that, because this is what they're going to do. They're going to try to sedate you to try to get you through it, and so at that point, how much Suboxone were you on Were you
8 milligrams a day from day one to the end.
always 8 milligrams? Now
8 milligrams a day.
Shot, and now you're doing it by orally, your sublingual.
Yep.
Okay.
Sublingual.
So
Yeah.
now you've got the sublingual. And
No. I'm sorry. No. After 3 years, I go to the same pills you were doing, those little orange octagon looking things.
Right.
All right. So I did that until Subutex came out, and somehow found out about it, asked my doctor, he put me on it. And it wasn't, I guess, 3-4 years after Suboxone. And I stayed on Subutex basically until the end. In December of 2022, well, back up, probably in that summer, I ran across a TikTok that said, hey, we can get you off we can get you off any opiate, withdrawal free, relatively withdrawal free. So that perked my ears. Started watching. I watched this for I don't know, 3-4 months.
So just hold on one second before we go into that. So you went to a rehab.
Goodness.
No, it's okay. So you went to a rehab to get off of Suboxone, and it was an unsuccessful attempt. So
in 2011.
In 2011, you specifically went there to do that, and it was unsuccessful.
Correct.
Okay, so now here you are, 22 years later, on still 8 milligrams. No doctor ever trying to take you off of it. Still on the 8 milligrams, and you come across a TikTok that's saying, "Hey, we've got the solution." Go ahead.
So let me back up just a little bit, and I think this is important as well, because I'm a school teacher. I am a school teacher. Okay. I tried to get off myself for 8 summers in a row, and this was prior to December of 2022. Every summer for 8 years prior to that, because I had the time off. Mentally, I prepared, and I'd get through probably 36 hours. Never successful, and I just gave up. So anyhow, I discovered the NAD ketamine approach.
Okay.
And I watched a lot of videos, but I didn't just. So I'm one that, I need. I'm not just going to settle with that, because I also saw other options. Other options were ibogaine treatment, specifically ibogaine, specifically for the opiates, and then also ran across another TikTok, which was the rapid detox. Nancy up in Michigan, where they do the rapid detox, they put you under, sedate you for 24 hours.
Yeah.
And all they're doing is they're pumping you full of, eventually, this led to this NAD ketamine, but they're pumping you full of the naloxone. They just pump.
Are they?
That is when they put you under sedation, they pump you full of naloxone, and that's supposed to kick it off the receptors.
Well, I didn't know that. Yeah, that woman reaches out to me regularly and thanks me for my efforts, and then asks me to promote what it is that they're doing. I'm like, no, I don't know anything about what you're doing. I don't mean to be rude, but I'm not going to promote something that I know nothing about. And also, like, that, for whatever reason, it just doesn't resonate. I don't even know. Like, I don't even have to read. It just doesn't resonate.
Right.
Let's pause you right there. I had a prescription for Vicodin for my wisdom teeth and took them all with my friends. Told the doctor I lost my script, and they gave me a new one. Yeah, I know. I think we've all been down that route, right? Absolutely. I have a question here. It says, is that nicotine? Calix, is what nicotine? What are you asking? Are you asking, is NAD nicotine? Is that what you're asking? I would like to hear, let's just wait. People are 50-50 about ketamine treatment, but I think it can be very therapeutic if done right. We're about to get into it. Okay. Yep. But also know people who were traumatized by it. Everybody, and this is why we're doing what we're doing, right? Because everybody's going to respond differently to different experiences. Everybody is different. My mother had a ketamine treatment. She just had one. She didn't like it. It wasn't really that helpful. Okay. But this is why we're doing this. So we can bring a lot more stories to the table, testimonies, what worked, what didn't work, because what works for this person may not work for the next person. So, are you okay?
Yeah. Something was tickling the back of my throat.
Something doesn't want you speaking your truth. Yeah. Truth. Okay, so here he goes. He says, nicotine. What?
There you go. That's it right there. I could
NAD.
pronounce it if I tried. So
Okay. Yes.
all
That's
right.
what so let's get into your experience with NAD. And so, you start looking into this. What were your I mean, okay, you first heard about it on TikTok, right? What were your expectations? I mean, did you genuinely believe, hey, this could actually work?
Come back to the expectations. All right. Hold that and remind me, this is what we're talking about. All right. So the NAD is your body produces this. All right. And it stops producing it when you're about age 40. So it is something that the body, it needs it. And it's great stuff. All right. Let's go back to that.
I love that.
I had to put that in there. All
Well,
right.
you did
So,
mention
why was I sold on it? I really wasn't sold on it right away. But when I started watching one video after another, and he had people coming in every, sometimes he'd have 2 people there, but it was at least every week, and it was success. Sometimes they were there, 4 or 5 days, 6, 7 days, but no one was there past 8, 9 days. And there was one guy there who was there 3 days, and their symptoms were, relatively mild. How do I know this? Because he journaled it. He journaled it every single day, sometimes 2, 3 times a day. He was very transparent. If they were having a bad day, he would tell, he would show, he would allow them to speak. So I got to listen to these stories firsthand, and I listened to them for like 4 months. The ibogaine, I'll talk about that later. Let's just stick with the NAD. All right. Yeah. And so I made the decision to call him. And when I called him, he talked to me, we talked, and he said, you're going to be gravy. If you can taper down, that's my best suggestion. If you can get down to 2 milligrams, you're going to be good. I'll have you out of here in a week or so. And the person that was right before me, he was a fireman, and he'd been on 12 milligrams a day, no taper, and he left in 3 days. I mean, he felt great. So I was sold on it, went down there, and I did 6 infusions, 6 days in a row. All right. And so, well, what was that like, Michael? The first day I went in I took my last little sliver of the strip the night before. He told me, he says, you can take a strip, or not a strip, but you can take a little bit of sliver to go to sleep tonight. It's no big deal. Because I met with him the night before. So I did that. And then I got there at 6:30, 7 o'clock the next morning. And, I'm hooked up by 7:30. They gave me 1,500 milligrams of the NAD. And I did 270 milligrams of ketamine spread out over a 4-hour period. So, I mean, that's not like right away. It's spread out over 4 hours. Ketamine
so
is
like in this chair, you like hooked up to IV.
I'm IV. It's IV. Yep.
Okay.
It's a slow drip. All right. So 1,500 milligrams of NAD, probably if you were not under ketamine, you'd be under that bag for about 10 hours, 11 hours. It's a slow drip, and it takes a long time, but they're able to push it a little bit faster and a little bit harder. And, it really pushes you. I mean, you're pushed to your limits while you're under ketamine, and you're disassociating. But, they can withdraw back a little bit. When I say pushed, you get stomach cramps. You get an excruciating stomach cramp because you're getting all this medicine pushed through your body, and it's going through your stomach. Okay. And it floods your body with the vitamins the NAD, which is nothing really more than, I don't know, you have to Google it without me going into a long detail on it. But it's a good Google deep dive for anybody. You don't even have to be dependent upon opiates to get this stuff. I mean, the age reversal, I don't buy into any of that. But as far as so what it did for me is I cut out all of processed foods. Day one, I was drinking Gatorades. I was eating gummy bears every single day, circus peanuts every single day, stuff I shouldn't eat. And day one, eliminated. And I started eating healthier. I started, making healthier choices. I do have a vice. I do get high. I get high. weed. You
Yeah.
know, I mean,
Yeah.
that's it's legal,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
it's something that helps me with my sleep.
Yeah. I microdose. It's okay. I'm not,
Yeah,
no, there's no judgment here. People do
yeah,
whatever it is that, it's whatever.
you know.
But
So
you
they
had
say,
mentioned that the NAD, so you're going through these ketamine, what was the experience? What was it like with the ketamine experience? You said you were disassociated. I mean, would you get it
you
down a little bit?
disassociate. You do. You disassociate.
Okay.
It's uh, I don't know how to explain it, but it's kind of hallucinogenic. I mean, you can go places,
Okay.
but you can also I'm able to go into areas that I need to repair. And I mean, I can think about it. Sometimes it gets scary and it takes me, you know, to places that I don't want to go. But those are things that I need to do, especially going through the withdrawals, because I was going through that. I called it melting with the turtles. He'd put good visuals on the wall. And so I would melt with the cities. Sometimes he'd put different cities, cityscapes or whatnot. And I would just melt with them.
And how long were you going through this journey? I mean,
The,
you
the
probably had no like recollection of time, I would imagine.
Not really, no recollection of time.
Did it feel really fast?
Super fast. Yeah.
Really? But it
Yeah.
was, but all in all, it was
The
4
longest
hours.
was 4 hours. The shortest one was 3. And so we went from 1,500 milligrams all the way down. I think my last infusion was 800 milligrams of NAD. And then I was down to 210 over 3 hours with the ketamine. And I did 6 infusions, 6 days in a row.
Okay.
What was the NAD? What was that like?
That was
I
going to
think
be
it
my
was good
next
there.
question for you.
A lot of energy.
Yeah.
I had so much energy that I walked the first 2 or 3 nights. I walked from all right. So the infusion lasted from 7 a.m. to about 10-ish. I get back to where I was staying about 11:30.
Okay.
I'd sleep. I wouldn't even call it sleep, but I would, I was comfortable till about 2:30 in the afternoon.
Okay.
Where I was staying, there was a pool. So I'd go to the pool and I would sit out in the sun. And I loved that. Absolutely loved it. I'd listen to music. There was a CD I bought and I played it on repeat the whole time I was there. I ate dinner every night. And then I would kind of be restless in the bed. And so around 10:30, 11 o'clock, I'd go out and I would walk where I was at. There was a perfect spot for me to walk back and forth, very lit up. Probably wasn't the best place for me to be, but it just happened to be where I was at. I was in Las Vegas. This is where the treatment was at, so if you get an idea. But so then I walked the first 3 nights until I had to go to my infusion the next day. Why did I walk? Because I had energy. That's what it did to me. It gave me that much energy, and I needed it, I guess. And so then,
I would imagine 22 years on a medication that suppresses your energy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You needed it. Did you ever feel nauseous? Go ahead.
No, never was nauseous. Third night there, I ate steak dinner at, I should know the name of it, but it's a very famous steak place off the strip in Vegas. All the gangsters used to go there, and it was the best steak I've ever had in my life. Absolutely. And this is day 3. So I ate every night. I ate at least twice a day. And it was the same routine. So, I was there at 7 and I left by 10:30 every morning, 6 days in a row. And on day 7, I got on the plane and I flew back home. I was taking master's class. I was in the master's program for construction engineering at UAB. And I think I made a B and a C that semester, but I completed, I'm graduated in the spring of this last year. But I'm coming off Suboxone and I'm still taking classes in a master's program, engineering program, and succeeding. How was it day 8, June the 8th, June the 9th, June the 10th, when I was sleeping? It wasn't the greatest, but I got at least 4 hours sleep, 3, 4 hours sleep. And then
Were you
June,
experiencing restless legs, restless body, anything like that? Or was it
not,
like
not,
so much energy?
not the typical, yeah, they were a little bit restless, but not what anything that you could say that's like, yeah, I had restless legs. I mean, yeah, a little bit, but not anything that was super bothersome. Um, all right. So one of the things that I did have from June the 1st to June the 6th, which is the infusions, and then even from the 7th till about the 15th, is the best way that I could describe it is like a vibration. Like I was vibrating, kind of bzzz, like a little buzz. There was a buzz in me that just wasn't, and it didn't bother me. And it's not like it was a bothersome thing, but it was like my body was energized and just charged and buzzing. And that eventually subsided and went away. I did get kind of panicky. I had a test. I don't know. I guess it was the 9th. I got back on the 7th. So on the 9th, I had a test and I panicked about it and I put it off 2 days and I did well. But other than that, I mean, I was kind of a little ornery here and there, but I mean, I was optimistic that every day was getting better. Okay. And I would say by July the 4th, the fireworks, it was over. Now it's, healing and every day getting better.
So let's actually kind of get into that, because you and I had discussed earlier. I'm like, okay, I'm always about, so operation, get off of Suboxone, free yourself from pharmaceuticals. But, I think it's important that we also hone in on the fact that we have been suppressing our emotions and our feelings and our energy for years and years and years, especially Suboxone. I mean, it's all very suppressing. And when you finally liberate yourself from any pharmaceutical, it all comes flooding back very quickly. And you really have to have the tools to learn how to navigate during uncomfortable times, right? Because it's like you're on Suboxone, it's like, okay, you're numb. You're just kind of numb. You're like on autopilot. You're just kind of getting through it. It's like, ugh, right? But it's like, with me, I'm noticing like I struggle. I still struggle because I feel everything so intensely. And, all these feelings and emotions, especially when you're going through something, it like comes raging back and you're like, oh shit, like this is not suppressed. Like what do I do with this? How do I navigate this? Right. And I meditate regularly. That's a very powerful tool that I use. Getting out in nature and grounding. But what was that like for you? I think it's so important for us to hit on the fact that it's great for us to liberate from pharmaceuticals, but it's also very important for us to talk about being prepared to feel it, to really feel your feelings and emotions and not numbing, whatever it is you're going through. Did you experience any of this? I mean, how was this like for you?
Okay, so I touched on a couple of things that I did while I was on buprenorphine, but I think I need to make it be clear that for the most part, for those 22.4 years, I was strictly using the buprenorphine. Occasionally, I did drink. There were some times that I did get drunk, but it never really got effective. So basically, the buprenorphine is what I'm kicking, and this is what my problem is I cannot get off of buprenorphine. And so I knew that there were going to be problems. I knew that, there were going to be some of these things that were going to come up just because the NAD and the ketamine got me through the withdrawal part, or the bad part of withdrawals. There's still things that were going to come up, and I realized that. So with the Ibogaine, which, I did my research and my homework on, I thought, and I did, and it's done everything that it said it's done, or it said it was going to do. I did go to Mexico. I went to Mexico 1 month or 6 months later.
So let's pause. So yeah. Why were you, and I know we talked about this, but we're getting it to the people who need to hear this. So you went through the ketamine, it was successful, but now you're wanting to go and try Ibogaine.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So when we're using opiates, your buprenorphine, specifically and methadone, they stick to your opiate receptors like glue. And you're just, I mean, especially if you're on it that long, your receptors are frazzled. I mean, they are just frazzled. Mm-hmm. And what ibogaine does is, I hate to use this word fix because it's not what it does, but I guess repairs would be a good word. The GDP and the GNP and something else, which are the gamma receptors, the dopamine receptors, are the pleasure receptors. And what it does is it repairs them to pre-opiate use.
Okay.
That's the goal, you know. It's part of the reason why we, you know, might have difficult times after coming off of this medication. The half-life of Suboxone is it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
that's what makes it so stinking, because if you tally up, I don't even like to do it, right? But it's like, if you sit there and you tally up the amount of days that you were on it and then add the half-life, you're like, bro, no wonder, you know, right. But go ahead.
Yeah. And so there's a couple of ways to do the ibogaine, and I chose the alternate route. My intentions were to do a full flood dose, which you go into a full psychedelic mode or psychedelic state for an extended period of time, and I was not ready for that. And I figured that out. You do 3 flood doses. I took 1 flood dose, and I figured out I was not ready. I was not ready for that journey, and I asked my facilitator to back out and ask him if I could microdose it. And he's like, yeah, that's great. It's going to take a little bit more time to get the neuroplasticity in the brain back, but it will work just the same. And right. So that's the route I went. I did some other things for my well-being. I think it was probably, and I won't talk a whole lot about that, but 5-MeO DMT was very powerful and moving experience for me that has helped guide and shape my journey where I'm at today, which is I'm not on buprenorphine. I don't, drink. I don't, and I feel good. I've started looking for things that are good for me. And just, a couple of things that are my daily regimen is Shilajit, 84 minerals and vitamins the body needs. I believe in it. It's got to be a good Shilajit. Super greens, colostrum, collagen, and sea moss. I make my own sea moss.
Right. Okay.
These things work great for me. I have energy that I need, good energy, really, really good energy. And right. I sleep well. I'm healthy. Mentally, I feel good. I have better clarity than I've ever had. I don't know. I mean, life's good.
Love that.
And I would not have been able to say that, 2-3 years ago.
Love that. Yeah. So I watched a documentary on ibogaine, and it was actually on mushrooms and ibogaine. And I guess it was, a lady who had been in active opioid addiction for a very long time. And it was so interesting to watch because she quite literally, and it kind of, for me, it kind of made me a little bit nervous because it was like she went through this process and she had to kind of reteach herself, like how to eat and like do certain things. Like, is this something, because you're resetting your entire brain, right? If I'm not mistaken, everything's being reset and you have to kind of relearn how to do things again. Although it wasn't like, it was.
Sounds to me like she was a rare case,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It was showing her like trying to eat and like, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's just they're getting like the raw, like right out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I've heard some great things about ibogaine, but it also kind of makes me a little bit nervous,
Yeah. There are stories out there. I mean, I read just the other day, there's been 19 people die from ibogaine, and I could see where that could happen. You're best to be in a facility that is like hospital setting. It's that intense.
Of course.
But they can control it. it should never be a situation where the patient or the person dies ever. I don't know why or how that happened, but I mean, obviously it happened and that it's reported.
Right.
And I think probably why you're not going to get a lot of the good information that's out there, a lot of it's anecdotal, is because these clinics, they're in Mexico. We're dealing with plant-based medicine. We're in root medicine. We're not, and so it goes completely against Western medicine.
Yep.
There's an agenda.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. And these plant medicines will show you things like you just said. You go on these healing journeys, and if you're ready, it'll show you things about yourself. And I'm anxious to try things like ayahuasca. I microdose, but I don't think I've ever actually taken a macro dose of mushrooms and been shown. I've taken a little bit where I've like laid and meditated, and it's shown me things about myself that kind of I needed to see or know, or that I was avoiding. But like, I would like to at some point, do ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca is a good choice because
I know it's I hear that it can be pretty brutal, as far as like throwing up and it being, but you're purging is from what I hear. And I often feel like I know there's this block so deep within me. And I'm like, I feel like this block, it's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through this block. I feel like plant medicine will help with that. I've heard her be called Mother Ayahuasca, and I love that. It's just like an energy, and she just shows you what you need to see about yourself. And the thing is I was hearing on this interview that it's like you can't really go in and with intentions of what you want to get from this interview. Mother Ayahuasca is going to show you what you need to see at that time. Period.
Sure. It's a DMT, for sure.
And I've often wanted to experience DMT as well, but I get a little bit nervous, because these are very powerful tools, but in the right setting with the right people, not just some, guy off the street that's like, oh yeah, I got this DMT pin. I'm like, that's great. I'll pass. I don't really,
no. Setting is paramount.
That's right.
Intentions.
So Micheal, how long has it been? You have been free and clear of Suboxone since what year?
June, golly. Let's see. Suboxone was June the 1st of 2023. And then I did the Ibogaine that December. So June the 1st, 2023. So a little over 2 years.
I'm proud of you. That's great. And I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. And I really appreciate your support. I really do, because I've seen you go back and forth with people in the comment section. And there are people, and here's the thing. I understand that the ketamine treatments are a little bit on the pricier side. I get that. I know but there are people out there that can take that route. And there's no reason for me to discriminate. It helped you liberate and be free. So I'm going to bring it to the table because it may very well help the next person. Right.
Yeah, so, for sure. You want me to talk a little bit about that cost and all?
We can just get into it a little bit, but so what did that look like as far as price for you?
Okay. So, what I paid is not really what, you're kind of looking at. You're looking at anywhere from 5,000 to 15.
Okay.
And it also depends on where, so if you could find somewhere that's close to you, and there's a lot of places out there doing this now, NAD coupled with the ketamine, it would be cheaper. I mean, again, I went to Vegas, probably one of the most expensive places that I could go to.
Yeah.
They were still early on with this, but in 2.5 years almost, it has progressed more. So there's a lot more places doing it, and all you got to do is Google it, and you'll see. Ibogaine, you're not going to get much, but if you Google NAD and ketamine, you'll get a little bit more. You got to kind of be descriptive with your words, but it does cost money. That's the thing. Insurance doesn't pay for it, and that's a shame. I don't know why. I have a feeling. Yeah,
we know why.
We know exactly why.
Because it would help. It would help millions of people. That's why.
For sure.
That's
sure.
exactly why. Instead, insurance is going to cover shit like Sublocade injection.
Yeah.
It's going to be $24,000, just whatever. I'm not even going to get into that. But yeah,
and to kind of look at it like this has been going. They've been doing NAD and ketamine for years. All right, and every time these Hollywood actors need to get well really quick, and they manage to do it, that's what they did. NAD and ketamine. This has been going on for a long time. They know a lot about this. And I also need to add to this that it wasn't just the NAD. They pumped me, or they gave me what's called a Myers cocktail or a banana bag. If you've ever had to go to the hospital and get vitamins real quick, that yellow bag, it's called a banana bag. It's got a bunch of different vitamins in it. But they also gave me magnesium.
Yeah.
So, but there were other things that they were putting in there, and this is what the body needs. I mean, all you're doing is you're repairing those cells very, very, very rapidly and quickly. And, that's what your body needs.
Yeah. Your body.
A lot of the stuff that's in the things that you have pinned, the supplements that you, a lot of that stuff is in the bags they're giving the infusions.
So these withdrawal symptoms are basically your body just deficient. It's deficient of the very vitamins and nutrients that this medication or these medications have been suppressing for as long as you've been on it. I'll tell you, NAC is in these Quit Kit that I use, and that helps you if you have cravings or you're feeling lack of energy. The NAC that's in this afternoon dose, because I've been struggling a little bit. I actually made a post today. I notice that whenever I go through changes, or that when I am experiencing something that is making me uncomfortable, here in Florida, there are kava and kratom bars on every freaking corner, right? And so it's like, it's easy, it's very accessible, and it's very normalized. And it's like, I make up these excuses after even getting off Suboxone and then getting off of kratom and then doing it again. It's like, I make up these excuses, but it's like, I spent so long liberating myself from these things that it's, I just, and the NAC, I will say, if I start having cravings or if I'm feeling like a little like not energized, I'll take the afternoon dose, and it's very helpful. Working out in the morning, that is very helpful. When I get up in the morning and the first thing I do is go and work out, it gets my energy going and flowing. Now, walking out the door, I'm like, but I already know once I get in that freaking gym, once that music is pumping, and I'm pumping music all the way there to get me in the mood, I'm good after that. So does anybody have any questions? Let's see. I got to figure out those healthy coping mechanisms people talk about. Meditation and grounding is actually very, when you're feeling down, I mean, just being in the sun alone, sun alone is very healing. It's, hug a tree, get your feet in grass. Those are all coping mechanisms. Nature heals. If you haven't seen that documentary Grounding, I would highly recommend you go check that out. Maybe getting some grounding sheets, but it's all about nature, turning to what Mother Earth has provided us and can give us to help us heal and reset, right?
This is going to sound crazy, but I'm going to go get something. It'll take me 30 seconds. I'll be right back.
No, we're actually about to wrap it up.
Okay. So we're about to wrap it up. Like a sound bowl, like a healing bowl. All right. That works as well, sound bath.
Yeah. That's funny you say that, because that's what my friend Jane, is it very far? Because I don't like to go.
No. It's not far at all.
Okay. Yeah. Singing bowls. That's right, Jane. Yeah. Frequency healing. Absolutely. Actually, Jane, the last guy that I interviewed, or whichever guy, I can't remember which one it's been now. I think it was 2 interviews ago. I sent him your channel, and he'd say it was very helpful. So yeah, I completely agree with you. And I completely agree with this.
And I'll just sit with this. It calms me.
Yeah.
And I'll just.
Know why I'm getting emotional. It's so weird.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Beautiful, because I love that. Because it's like, we've been, I don't know why. This is why. See, this is why. we've just been we've been turning our backs to things like this that are helpful and that are healing, right? And
Sure.
sound bowls are
Yeah.
everything. Singing bowls, sound bowls is everything. Let's see. Somebody said, yes, grounding and being the sun has been extremely beneficial for me. Yeah. Thank you so much, Melinda, for being here. I love it. I love it. Does anybody have any questions before we go? And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off early. I try not to get it going. Like I try to wrap it up in about 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
So I really wasn't trying to be rude. I do.
No, you're good. You're good.
But I really do thank you for coming on.
I enjoyed being here.
Yeah. And thank you so much for your support, and you are a wealth of knowledge. And you know what? I know that you had mentioned that you had like a PowerPoint because you have a lot of information. You are holding a lot of information. And I think maybe at some time in the future, I can have you on and we can actually get into that. Right now, I just wanted to kind of bring people on and to share their testimonies of how they broke free or what they're in the middle of battling with right now as far as being stuck to whatever pharmaceutical that looks like. Most specifically, we're honing in on Suboxone, but I mean, I'm for all the pharmaceuticals. Let's go. Let's break free from all of that shit because
there you go.
I just don't think we need it. But you guys, thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate your support. Michael, thank you so much for tonight.
Yeah.
You'll have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and we'll see you guys soon.
All right. Thank you.
That went.